Right, so now we get to the interesting part. So we're going to start looking at how we can go about modelling the oil drum or the barrel, depending what you want to call it. So the first thing that you're going to need is a reference image. Now, I've provided a reference image for you, which is, it should be on your, I'm just going to open this up. Let's have a look in photos, just so you can see it. There. So that should be in amongst all your different like files and stuff on Blackboard, which you'll have been shown in the lecture. Now that there is the oil drum that we're going to be basing off. I mean, for the purposes of what we are going to do, that image will do exactly what we need it to do, because we're going to keep it very simple. We're not going to go into too much detail at this stage. Whereas in the future, when you're modeling things, you're probably going to need a lot of reference images for whatever it is that you're modeling, from all different angles and close-ups and everything else. But like I say, for the purposes of what we're doing, we're going to keep it simple. So that's the image that we're going to use. A quick tip, if you're going to get an image off the internet and anything else, for me, this particular one, what I did was I used a tool called Lightshot, which, let's see if I can quickly bring it up and I'll show you that. So if I click onto there and I go into that there. So Lightshot basically allows me, it's a bit like the snip tool. It allows me to drag an area, and then I can just like save it, copy it, send it, whatever else. I've used it for a lot of years, and it's just my go-to for this. Now, for this one here, what you can see what I've done is I made it basically, to keep it simple, I made it 400 by 400, which, if I can get it, 1 second, there, 400 by 400. So what that means is, if I keep it square like that and I save it, then what's going to happen is, when I create a plane, I can just create, that's a square plane, and all of the size, it's not going to, the constraints are there, it's not going to get stretched in any direction, because the plane itself is not quite the right shape, or you're going to have to go in and look at the image size in pixels and create a plane the same as that. So if you just make sure that when you get an image, make it square, take it into Photoshop, give it a canvas, make it square, and that'll make life a lot easier for you when you're doing that. So that's just a bit of a tip. So what we're going to do is, now we're going to put our reference image in there. So if I remember rightly, free image plane. So we're going to create free image plane. Right there. I'm going to create, and we go down into free image plane. I want to click the box to make it a bit easier. So yeah, that's bringing in one that's square. That'll do it. Okay. So what we need to do is, we now need to actually add an image. And let's have a look. And there we go. Right, so image plane there. We've got, if you look on here, we've got different menus on the top of here. Now, these will like all make sense at a later date. Whenever we're creating something, I can close that. Whenever we're creating something, you're always going to get these little bits of scraps of information going on here, these little tabs, and sometimes there'll be a lot of them, and it's basically every function that you do. If you're creating something, if you're modifying something, it'll all come along there. They come in handy because you can go back and you can go in there and change things, but also we need to keep clearing them off every now and again. And we'll talk about that later. So the image plane 2, we'll go into that, because what we want to do is, we want to make sure that the actual image, if I click on here, is the right one. So I think I've got it on my desktop. So if I go onto, I'll go into mine, and then I go into, I don't think I've got it on here. Go to desktop, screenshot one, I think it is. There we go. So that's that. So that should, in effect, if we have a look at that now, that's giving it that image there. So that's right. So we can now knock that off, and if we create that image plane, and make sure we've got our materials shown as well, which if you go up to the top of here and you have a look, you'll see on here textured. So if we click textured, and what we need to do is now set our polyplane there, polyplane shape 1. I've completely messed this up now, so